Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bristol Township Zoning Hearing Board. I'd like to get started with, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remove your hats. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let me introduce you to a few people before we get started. Our solicitor, Ken Fetterman, is to my left. Our stenographer, Cindy Oliveira. Director of L&I, Bob McTeague. Mr. Secretary, call the board, please.
Mark DeMarcus.
Here.
Jim McMahon.
Here.
Colleen Dunn.
Here.
Ed Murphy here.
Okay, some things on the agenda that are being taken off. I read into the record, a letter sent to Robert McTeague, Director of Building and Planning. These three are on the agenda as 3, 4, and 5. Dear Mr. McTeague, our firm represents the applicant, Savetta Cattell, which, with regards to the 3 above referenced applications currently scheduled for the hearing this evening, January 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. before the Bristol Township Zoning Hearing Board. This letter is to follow up our telephone conversation from earlier this morning regarding said application. As we discussed, the application should seek variance relief for use of properties as rooming houses rather than as a group home. Applicants not seeking to operate rehabilitation facilities for drug, alcohol, or for mentally or physically disabled, but merely to rent up to 7 unrelated individuals. Applicant therefore respectfully withdraw the 3 pending applications rescheduled for tonight's meeting. Applicants intend to refile the 3 applications seeking use variances. Use variances, relief for rooming homes, and request that upon refiling of the application, that the same be rescheduled for the board February meeting date. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Bob, would you like to add anything to that? Okay. All right, so they're withdrawing these applications, but do we need to give them a continuance on February? No, because they're going to reapply to the application. All right. Okay, so that being said, that's withdrawal for 3, 4, and 5. 6 is also withdrawal REM Pennsylvania LLC, 90 West Chestnut Street, Suite 705. Bob, would you like to add anything to that withdrawal?
There was an application that was set forth in the township, and there was an agreement between the solicitor and the township and applicant for the group home to operate.
Okay, all right. So they'll know they will not be coming back in front of us.
Correct.
Okay. So number 7 is Besco Outdoor Media. So I need a continuance on that. I know for the board members, this is probably the 5th or 6th time we continue this. There is a reason they're waiting for PennDOT, a variance from PennDOT to go further with this application. That's why there's so many continuances over the last couple months. So with that being said, can I get a motion for a continuance on number 7, please?
I'll make a motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Call the board, Mr. Secretary.
Mark DeMarcus.
Yes.
Jim McMahon.
Yes.
Colleen Dunn.
Yes.
Ed Murphy, yes.
Okay, that's it for that. So we're going to go to the agenda. Number 1 on the agenda, Mark Craig, 12 Fortune Lane, Levittown, PA. Please come on up.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear if the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Just turn the green light on the microphone. Closer.
Sorry. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
You guys like to see these documents? I made a
Yes,
PowerPoint
please.
last go-around.
No, I need to see your mail-ins.
Oh, they're here.
Your mail-outs or mail-ins. Okay, thank you.
What I did is I explained to Bob when I first got here, I actually attached to two homes behind me. A piece of my property touches another home behind me. I also know that neighbor. So where the shed's gonna go, I went and spoke with her also, and just so I got her to sign off on it also.
Okay.
Just, did you post your property?
Yes.
Okay, you have a picture of it, or just tell me you posted it?
No, the
But you did
township was
post it.
out the house the day before yesterday.
Say again?
One of your cars were out in front of our house the day before yesterday. It's
That
been
doesn't-
posted.
That doesn't make it.
If you needed a picture, I apologize, but yes.
All right, thank you.
I could show it to you live if you want to go live on my cameras.
No.
It's fine. All right, we can proceed.
Mr. Craig, go ahead.
So, basically, I'm just out of space. My storage shed is, the shed that's there now is full, my carport's full, and I just need to erect another shed, so I'm asking for 400 square foot of impervious ground that I'll need to cover. I don't think I'm gonna go to 400. It's scheduled for 380. I'll apologize to you guys, I'm in unfamiliar territory. I went for the impervious ground first this time, instead of getting my project done first. So I'm really getting started technically the right way.
Bob, I may have missed it in here. How much over does he want to go over the 35%?
He is at 41% where 35 is,
Allowed.
permitted, but he's asking for 44 today. He came to the zoning hearing board in November of 19 and asked for 41%. That was approved. Now he's asking for 44%.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions from the board?
Is there any flooding issues in your yard, your neighbor's yard, or running down your driveways?
No, in fact, I'll probably erect something that's gonna compensate for impervious ground, even though, when I went to do the driveway, like, they make impervious tar now, they make concrete and everything, for whatever reason, it wasn't accepted. Even the pavers, they make impervious now, where they'll take the water into the ground. So, both of the sheds that I've looked at so far, all the gutters and everything, there's a system that goes underneath the shed, all the water that comes off that shed will go back in. You guys have to know my wife. I'm not allowed to kill a fly. So everything has to get done for nature. Yeah.
Anybody else from the board? Bob, anything to add? Anybody from the audience like to come up for or against this project? Come on up, sir.
Good evening. Jeffrey, K-A-Y. 16 Fortune Lane.
Wait a second, K-A-Y?
Yep.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna swear you in and then you can speak.
Okay, sure.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Okay. Jeffrey K., 16 Fortune Lane, Levittown, Pennsylvania. I'm directly next door.
Okay.
The impervious surface calculations, does that include the existing two sheds now and all the concrete in between? Because last time, they did not. The driveway goes up past the house and in the back.
Yeah, I personally went to the property and measured.
And you
myself.
measured it out.
Everything, yeah. And he's at 3,474 square.
And did you get the the 8x16 blocks in the back, off the
On
black
side of the
patio?
house, yeah, I did, correct. And then in between
pretty-
your property and his house, there's a patio there also.
Right,
I got all
goes
that.
all the way to, that sounds awful light, but I would be shocked if it's under 50%. And with, that's adding an additional, what,
3%.
41% now, and that would be 44% with the garage.
and how big is the garage use?
He has it at 380 square foot.
Additional 380 square foot. So, well, he was here before, and he's got a driveway that goes all the way up around the back of the house. All the concrete in between the house is filled, so just the entire property is concrete and block. And as far as the runoff of the water, it doesn't necessarily have to run off to the property next door. It's ending up into the gutter system, and it's going to the low-lying areas in the township or wherever. So somebody's getting that water that it's not absorbing.
Right.
And like I said, this is the second variance that he's getting for the property. So I'm opposed to it.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else from the audience? Okay. It's a pleasure of the board. Any motion?
I'll make a motion for this project.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Call the board.
Mark DeMarcus,
Yes.
Jim McMahon,
No.
Colleen Dunn,
Yes.
Ed Murphy, yes. Good luck, buddy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Okay. Is the applicant, did the applicant leave? Oh, there he is.
There he is. Mark.
Mark, here, this I won't need. Appreciate you bringing them for the board. But we're good, I kept one.
Oh, that's okay.
All right?
I thought everything had to get done by
I got a very busy shredder.
All right, next on the agenda is Tawfiq Kasem, 555 Steuben Street, Staten Island, New York. Please come on up, Counselor.
Thank you very much. We can proceed.
All right. Good evening, Board. Bryce McWigan from Bagley Carlin, here on behalf of the applicant, Tawfiq Kasem, who's the equitable owner of 7016 Bristol Pike, specifically the unit to the far right of the building. The property is a commercially zoned property. That's approximately 1/4 acre in size, and it fronts Bristol Pike. It's currently improved by a small 4-unit shopping center with 8 accessory parking spaces to the front. Tawfiq is under agreement to lease one of those 4 units, and building, or that portion currently sits vacant. Total building is a little more than 5,000 square feet, and Tawfiq will be renting approximately 1/4 of that size. As you can see from the aerial here, the property itself is traced in blue. There are 8 spaces that currently sit in front of it, and the building, as I mentioned earlier, fronts Bristol Pike. The Tawfiq will be renting this one right here to the very bottom of the image. That will be his leasehold unit if he's approved today. But what he wants to do with that, within that unit, is to operate a cash and carry store. Cash and carry is basically, it's kind of a hybrid wholesale retail operation where basically he stocks excess stock that a local convenience store would need. Candy bars, medicine, drinks, odds and ends. So rather than these local convenience stores going to a big box store or going somewhere else, they will come to a store like this one to purchase excess inventory for their store. This is going to be a small operation. It's going to cater to local businesses. And we're here today, though, to request a use variance because, technically speaking, it is considered a wholesale business in Bristol Township, and that's an industrial use. Now, the property itself is commercial, but the line for industrial starts with this property right behind us. So we're literally one parcel over from being M2 zoned and being able to do this by right. And as I'm sure the board is aware, the local Bristol Pike area is rather industrial in nature. Specifically related to this property itself, I would like to say that I believe this use would fit very well in this particular property, specifically because, as you can see, there's only 8 parking spaces for 4 separate commercially zoned units. Not that much parking on site. And one of the benefits to this particular business is that it's not going to be a very intense use. There will not be a number of customers that you would get from this being, let's say, a convenience store or another sort of business that caters to foot traffic. Rather, this is a 9 to 5 business, Monday to Friday, 1 employee only, and they only expect to have a customer every hour, give or take. This caters to, like I said, it's an owner or an operator of small convenience stores who would come to this business, who would buy stock for their store and leave. Now, even though it is technically a wholesale business, this is a type of business that cannot function in what you would generally consider to be a warehouse or a type of store that would be designated for wholesale because it is so small. The inventory is so small. You only need about 1,000 square foot building, which is what we have here. So this building is adapted to something like this use. There are others in the area on the opposite side of Bristol Pike. And again, this is something that this area, in our opinion, needs, and this is something that this particular location would benefit from greatly, and it's one that would mesh very well with the other local businesses in terms of parking because this is not a parking-heavy business. Bob, can you go to the next page for me? So here we have two separate photographs, and there's a very dull line separating them here. These are two pictures that Tawfiq took from another local cash and carry business, where again, it's shelves with inventory in it, as you would see in a retail establishment. Instead, though, instead of going to a 7-Eleven where you have maybe a couple of these items, here you have excess stock that, let's say, the operator of a 7-Eleven or the operator of another convenience store would come and purchase for their store. Bob, can you go to the next slide too? Again, these are just stocked items on a shelf, and that's all we're planning to do here. It's just instead of the ultimate user of the aspirin coming, it will be a convenience store operator who will be selling it to local residents. So at the end of the day, that's all we're asking to do. It is one single variance which will be a use variance to allow this business to operate on the property. Otherwise, the building will not be modified apart from an internal fit out. There will be no change to the structure, no change to the parking, and everything else is in full compliance with the Bristol Township zoning ordinance. I have here with me tonight Tawfiq Kassem, who is the lessee of the property and who will be the operator of the business. Tawfiq, why don't you come up here so I can ask you a couple questions?
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Sure.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tawfiq, do me a favor. Speak into the microphone and introduce yourself to the board. Tell them who you are.
Tawfiq Qasim. I'm trying to open the store.
Now, question. Have you had a chance to hear everything I told the board just now?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand all my statements to the board?
Yes, sir.
Were they true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you would like to change or add?
No, sir.
Would you be willing to adopt my statements to the board as your testimony here tonight?
Yes, sir.
And if the board has any questions, obviously you'll do your best to answer those. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So with that, the applicant would conclude its presentation. And if the board has any questions, then obviously Tawfiq and myself will be more than happy to address those.
So he's taking over the whole building?
No, only the right unit. Bob, can you go back to the first slide for me?
You said 25% of the building,
Correct.
1,250 square feet?
It's, I think, a little more than that. I think it's 13 and change. But yes, there's 4 separate units. And I believe right now there is, Tawfiq, what are the uses there right now?
The second one, it's a bakery. They do it overnight. They bake like cooking. And the second one is like a clothing store. And the third one is church. They
Church,
come
right.
in just
Yeah.
Wednesday. Yes.
We approved the variance for that, that's what I was, so, okay.
Yeah, so we're not replacing any of those. And obviously the board doesn't need me to explain.
Was there another tenant there that left or had to leave
Yes.
for some reason?
I believe he was.
Who was the most recent tenant? Do you know what they did?
No, I don't know.
On Google Street, it looks like some sort of a thrift shop.
Okay. All right, and the landlord's not here tonight, right?
No.
I don't believe so. No.
Just asking, in case the board had a question.
So Bob, no variance for parking? Okay.
I just have one question. So who is able to walk in here and purchase stuff? You have to be a business owner or anybody on the
Business.
street?
Only business owner, convenience store owner. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and again, the way that this is going to work is, again, Tawfiq doesn't anticipate many customers a day, but every customer who comes in would be making larger bulk purchases because, you're not going to come in if you just need, a couple of Twix bars. You're going to come in because you need to restock your store.
But are retail sales prohibited? I'm just not clear on what the business license was for.
We supply the convenience stores. Look, the owner for convenience stores is missing like candy or medicine or,
So
and
if an individual customer walked into your store, you would
No.
turn them away?
To be candid, I think if an individual customer comes in and wants to buy a box of aspirin,
You would sell it to them, but you're not expecting that to be your business.
I could not have said it better myself.
And you're not doing any kind of marketing or advertising to advertise it as a retail store.
Correct. And the focus of the business, hopefully, once it gets up and running, it will have word of mouth, and local convenience stores he's not going to need to advertise because it's going to be the same repeat customers.
Do the buyers have to have a business license, Press? Do the buyers have to have a business license to buy goods at your store?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Do the buyers have to have a business license?
Yes, sir. Yes, you have to.
We'll be happy to add that as a condition to ensure
Just wondering, how does
that,
that
It
work
is.
with sales tax? Does he get an exemption certificate if they're reselling it? Does he collect sales tax?
No, sir. No.
So you get an exemption certificate?
It's just like business to business or like wholesale to retail. You don't get collect no tax.
and because of that, legally speaking, he would not be able to sell to the ultimate end consumer
No.
of the product. It would need to be wholesale.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else from the board? Bob?
Just that condition for the business license.
Okay. You guys good with that?
All right, thanks.
Well,
Perfect.
We're not done yet, but, anybody from the audience? No? Sure? Anybody for or against the project may come up and speak. Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Just, Bob, state that condition so it's clear in case the board approves.
As a wholesale supplier, a business, a customer should have a business license to buy goods from this retailer.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to deny the application.
I need, second. I'll make a motion to approve the application.
I'll second.
Call the board on the approval.
Mark DeMarcus,
Yes.
Jim McMahon,
Yes.
Colleen Dunn,
No.
Ed Murphy, yes.
All right, there you go.
Thank you very much.
All right, listen,
Good luck.
you know the conditions, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a 3-1 night.
Please, let's, business,
It's a first.
Wholesale only, we understand, and, of
Please.
course. And again, that's part of the reason why I think this will work with the property, so. Well, client knows that he'll get a visit from the township if
listen,
that doesn't.
we all live in this township, so,
We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
all right. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a second. Call the board, or all in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Adjourn.
adjourned.
Motion approved.